Now, let me ask you about three important industries. So, communication industry, communication industry. Second industry we can think about is transportation, and third is energy. Now, can you tell me what happened to communications, transportation, and energy in the first, second, and third industrial revolution? So, what do you think was the major change in the communications industry because of first industrial revolution? What do you think happened to communications? Uh, we were communicating, right? We were able to print something and send it to others, right? So what did first industrial revolution do to the communication industry? In my opinion, and this is only based on my readings, your readings could indicate something else, and I strongly encourage you to share that with me. My readings indicate that once again, one of the applications of steam engine was actually printing press, and printing press essentially changed the way communications industry was working at that time. So, what was the biggest impact of the first industrial revolution on communication industry? In my opinion, printing press. Right. What happened to the transportation industry because of first industrial revolution? Obviously, steam engine, steam locomotive. Right, and everything was steam driven. So what was the main source of energy? Some sense of boiled water, steam, was the source of energy in the first industrial revolution. Okay, what happened in the second industrial revolution? In the second industrial revolution, I would say the source of energy changed. People moved from steam to, in my opinion, what was second industrial revolution? Second industrial revolution was 1880, 1890, right? So I would say crude oil. Crude oil became this important source of energy. Important source of energy. Since crude oil became the important source of energy, in my opinion, the IC engine revolutionized the way transportation industry was working at that time. Right? We are talking about second industrial revolution. I'm sorry, I'm not writing in the very horizontal way, but pardon my aesthetics. Sorry. Okay, so second industrial revolution. So second industrial revolution, in my opinion, energy was mainly driven by crude oil. Remember, this was also the time when Standard Oil and other oil majors started expanding their business. A lot of developments in IC engine, even though IC engines were in existence, right? So a lot of development. Communications industry, what happened to communications industry? What happened around 1880, 1890? Well, not directly related to IC engine development, not directly related to the crude oil price, but communications industry in 1880, 1870 was fundamentally changed because of the development of telephone, Graham Bell, right? So that changed the communication industry completely, right? Because of the development in telephone at that time, right? So happened around the same time, 1870, 1880, 1890, that period. Third revolution, third industrial revolution, right? Internet, email. So I would say communications industry was fundamentally changed with the development of email, right? Started with email, now it has come to a lot of other things, right? What was the main source of energy? Now I would say, electricity. Electricity was the main source of energy, right? I mean, we can say that electricity was actually not generated from thin air. So, but crude oil, right? It was not crude oil driven. It is still crude oil driven, but electricity, right? A lot of electrification happened. So the source of energy was not burning crude oil, probably it was burning coal and therefore generating electricity, and they are using that electricity in various applications. Now, since electricity was the central to everything, right? Computers, IT. Since electricity was the central thing to everything, if you recall, the very first discussions in transportation happened around 1960s about electric car, right? So we actually have been discussing electric vehicles uh, way back 1970s, mid 1970s, early 80s. We had already started discussing about electric cars, right? Or even hybrids, right? Now we are starting to perfect those technologies, but we started thinking about them at the beginning of third industrial revolution, right? Those, even though now they are seen on the seen on the road more often, we started thinking about it quite early. I mean, once again, don't blame me if we say that I can't find any article about electric car in 1960s. We're not talking exactly at 1960s, but around that time, 70, mid 70s, you can find older articles uh, about electric transportation, right? Now let us talk about fourth industrial revolution. Fourth industrial revolution. So, what is driving the communications industry in the fourth industrial revolution? Uh, what do you think is happening? In my opinion, I would say AR, VR are changing the way we see things, we communicate with the world. Those are really the key aspects of the fourth revolution. The way we perceive the world, the way we see the world through, are the lenses of AR, VR. Right? In my opinion, my reading. Right. What is the main source of energy? Main source of energy. We we are going towards newer technologies. For example, today we talk a lot about hydrogen, solar, right? I mean, even though solar has been around for some time, hydrogen probably. I would focus on hydrogen. Hydrogen is poised to become a very important source of energy. A lot of research happening. Once again, this is the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. So even though I say that hydrogen is the focus in terms of energy, we might not directly see a hydrogen car immediately, just like what happened in the third industrial revolution. But in my opinion, hydrogen is poised to play a very important role going forward in the fourth industrial revolution. Okay. What about transportation? Transportation, what are we talking about? If we already say electric cars are done in the third industrial revolution, I would say hyperloop, right? Hyperloop or even autonomous vehicles. Autonomous vehicles are purely the childs of fourth industrial revolution. Right, I don't think we thought about hyperloop systems in the third industrial revolution. Even though we were interested in designing electric cars in the 80s, 90s, and so on, we never thought of getting rid of the driver from the vehicle. Right, that we are thinking only now because of the innovations and development in the technology. So, in my opinion, how have communication, transportation, and energy changed in the four industrial revolutions? This is my summary. Once again, I am fairly open to you having a diverse opinion. What I have read, I have summarized. You obviously should read and come up with your own opinion. And if you disagree, do let me know. So, summary of this is table here. Pretty much what I have said, but I have explained already. And I have answered the question marks for the fourth industrial revolution. Right. So here I am not talking about industry 4.0, so to say, but I am talking about the revolutions because I want to connect them to the earlier revolutions. Okay. So that is my opinion. Okay. Now let us very briefly discuss the geographical origins of each of these revolutions. as I said, first industrial revolution driven by development of steam engine. Steam engine, as I told you earlier, the fabric industry, clothing industry, right? Therefore, Manchester, England. Therefore, it is generally accepted that the birthplace of first industrial revolution was England, right? Second industrial revolution. Second one happened. I told you the main driving force of second industrial revolution was assembly line. Assembly line is Ford. Ford is US. So, in my opinion, we can safely say anchored in US and then quickly spread in multiple places. Third industrial revolution, we spoke about. Third industrial revolution was about use of IT, CNC, robotics in manufacturing. The table that you have is different. The table is the impact on communications industry, transportation industry, and main source of energy. What I am talking about is the manufacturing industry. So the origins of third industrial revolution, we can say we anchored it in IT, use of CNC, use of robotics in manufacturing. So I would say once again, I'm ambivalent between US and Japan. Japanese automobile industry was developing very rapidly in the 60s and 70s. Remember the made in Japan brand, Toyota and everything. They were the peak of their quality revolution, quality reputation. So I would say third industrial revolution, generally US or Japan. Fourth revolution, I don't know. Right, Germany, we are definitely saying industry 4.0, definitely Germany, right? So if the course title is industry 4.0, let us say Germany, right? Let's say Germany. And but fourth industrial revolution is going to be more encompassing. So in my opinion, it is going to be reaching to all parts very fast, right? Yes, this is a summary. First revolution in England, James Watt, Manchester. Then it went to France, Germany, and then eventually reached USA. Second revolution, Graham Bell, Henry Ford, mainly USA. Third revolution, I have put question marks, right? I have put question marks because of the applications of CNC and automation in manufacturing industry, particularly automobile industry. So in that sense, I have inserted Japan there, but that's what I have read. You can tell me your opinion. Fourth industrial revolution, we have already discussed industry 4.0, 2011, therefore Germany. And I have already told you the contributions of Akatech. I have already told you about Hanover Fair. I have not mentioned Wolfgang Wolster, very big name. He was so to say father of AI in Germany. He is still a very important researcher to be followed, and I strongly suggest that we do that. I am going to refer to one of his articles later in the course, and therefore I will discuss more about him at that time. So that's my take on the geographical origins of each of the four revolutions.